conversation with me about some of the historic things about real estate in the Turks and Caicos Islands, how it started, how transactions had worked during those years that he started since 1966. And we were able to get a lot of very valuable information about real estate and its history, its inception in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Today, we are actually focusing on sort of the reverse. So instead of the historic things, we're now talking about some of the new developments that are coming for the island of the country of the Turks and Caicos, and also some of the new developments that are not just in its pre-construction stage, but also that is currently existing. So again, if this is a conversation or a topic that you want to learn more about, definitely please call your friends, your family, let them know that we are live on Let's Talk TCI Real Estate. I'm definitely looking forward to having this conversation. We've heard persons talk about all the new buildings that are going up as you drive around the island, and this is an opportunity where you can chime in and understand what is happening from an economy standpoint in the Turks and Caicos, as well as knowing about some of the safeguards of buying into these new developed properties. Today I have with me another broker, a broker from Christies International Real Estate, in the person of Mr. Robert Greenwood. He is actually a senior broker and a director of that company, and I'm going to allow him to reintroduce himself in more details by telling us a little bit about, how long he's been in real estate, how long he has been with the Christies International brand. And definitely we know just by saying that he's a broker that he is definitely fit to have this conversation with us today, because he does have a lot of knowledge to share with us. Welcome to Let's Talk TCI Real Estate, Mr. Greenwood.
Thank you so much, Vernica, and I really appreciate you inviting me. I've watched a lot of your past episodes and really enjoyed them. So it's a real privilege to be here. As Vernica nicely introduced me, I'm Robert Greenwood. I'm one of the directors and brokers for Christies International Real Estate here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. My partner is Walter Gardner, and we are surrounded by an excellent team of luxury real estate specialists in our office. And we're also a global company. Christies International Real Estate has been in business through its auction house and then veering into real estate for some 250 years. So it's a long-standing auction house that transitioned into real estate as well. We're in 50 countries around the world. And myself personally, I've lived in the Turks and Caicos now almost all my life, some 45 years, and been with Christies and, for 25 years now. In the real estate development industry, pretty much all my life. That's what I was raised in. My father was a developer in the real estate development construction business. Actually built the first airport in Turks and Caicos, first international airport. Moved on to Club Med, and then I segued into real estate.
That's awesome. Sound like you have lots of roots that is attached to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and like you say, you have been in it for quite a long time. Let me ask you then, are you still looking forward to those many years of real estate here?
What are you trying to say?
You said you've been to a long time.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed, being here since the 70s and seeing the very first developments and the journey that the Turks and Caicos Islands has experienced, and I've had that journey along with it. It's another chapter. I've seen 2 or 3 major chapters of the development of the Turks and Caicos. We're in a new development phase, which we're about to talk about now. I've seen a lot of the history. I don't go far back as banked, but I've seen a lot of the history, so I was blessed to see those early days. But also we're moving into this new phase of new development that you just have to drive around the island and you can see it. You can see the buzz, you can see the new developments popping. So I'm actually, re-engaged. The excitement's just increased even more. So yeah, very excited for decades to come.
Yeah, you're correct in saying that, we are in a new age now with new developments. Of course, I've started real estate, not being into real estate as long as you have, but I've actually been into real estate now probably about 20 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
And you can tell, like, even for me, there are so many new developments that are coming on. And it's always interesting when we have like customers who have purchased years ago, when they come back to Turks and Caicos after so many years, and they basically say that, boy, so many things have changed. There are so many new developments. There's so much new construction that is happening. You stop for a moment and you pause, because even though you're right in the middle of it and you see it happening, when you actually hear someone else say it, then it starts opening eyes to be like, definitely there is so much of things that are going around. And if you don't stop for a minute and drive around the island and see it for yourself, because some people just come in the Grace Bay area and they see some of the, main developments that, like, say, for example, the St. Regis or something, a big development like that. But when you go into also the communities, you begin to see a lot of other new development construction that is actually happening.
Absolutely.
That is also a testament to how new development has actually, just take a boom in such a short period of time on island.
Yeah.
So, I mean, saying all of that, what do you feel like, what is this actually doing for the economy of the Turks and Caicos Islands? What do you think this is leading? Do you think our economy, like, what is it saying? I want to actually tell you what I think, but let me hear what you think.
No,
what do you think?
Well, okay, I'll go first. I mean, look, there's definitely a change, and I just want to make, just say one thing. I'm a cog in just a machine.
Right.
So there's a lot of great representation of developments on island, no matter what brokerage it comes from. And there's a lot of developments out there that are represented in different ways. And we're also, we've got to kind of cast our mind back to the pioneers. You spoke with Bengt, with the guys that, built the third turtle. And we're standing on the shoulders of those. And then the Stan Hartlings and Mark Duliets that have come down. They were the pioneers.
You have to acknowledge those people,
we have to acknowledge those guys, because they really started it. They started where we are today. So it's for them that, we do stand on their shoulders for the most part. But where we are now, and I don't like to use the word boom. Boom, I find, is something that's explaining something that's come from nothing. It's all of a sudden just happened for some particular reason. That's not the case. This has been built on great stewardship from both the public and private sector. A lot of hard work from a lot of people, from all of the real estate brokerages, all the developers that have put time, effort, money, trust, confidence into the Turks and Caicos Islands. And, the Turks and Caicos Islands has become and reported one of the most desirable destinations to be in within the Caribbean region for developers. And that is without a doubt true and obvious as you drive around the island. So we're going through this new phase, which has brought, in the very beginning, it started off, as I said, Club Med was the first to come, and then we had the smaller Island Princesses, Erebus, and the smaller, really very
boutique
cool
hotels,
very family-like orientated hotels. And then we had the boutique hotels, the Sands and the Royal West Indies, and that was that model, the condo resort model. And we just gained in popularity, and that's what I mean about standing on the shoulders of others. They got that popularity going for us to where we can today sit here and just to the right of us, to the left of us, we've got the Kempinski that's one of the most prestigious European brands, hoteliers, starting sales, and we have exceeded expectations when it comes to sales already. We have the St. Regis to the left of us, and as you can see, that's emerging out of the ground. We've got the Lauren at Turtle Cove, which is, Turtle Cove. Again, that's the site of where the third turtle used to be, so a lot of history there. And they're all different personalities of hoteliers, different styles. So we're bringing in a great amount of variety. And these are the luxe brands. These are the top brands. So we have now emerged from the boutique brands, which without a doubt, are luxurious brands that were very well sought after. We've just moved into a new era because the demographic will change. We'll get a younger buyer demographic, so it is time. You know, if you don't evolve, you become extinct, and this is the time that we've now evolved. The Ritz came in, and that was the first one to come in with that particular mixed-use brand or style, if you will, which was a hotel component with a residential component, which has become popular. So we're definitely moving strongly in that direction, and that's just to name one or two. But economically, it's a, you know, this strong development cycle that we're in, which is going to be a long cycle, is a very bright outlook for the Turks and Caicos Islands economy in many ways, not just, you know, through the real estate industry, through the development industry, through the hotel industry, and as we know, our main source of income is through tourism, development, real estate, and so on. So these are very, very significant contributors to the island's GDP.
I like what you say that, you know, it is a bright outlook for the economy of the Turks and Caicos Islands, which I also agree. But when you're saying, I do feel that because of all the new developments, I think it is a testament to say that, you know, the economy is getting stronger, especially to say that the investor confidence is still here. And obviously, with these investors who are coming in, they are doing all of their due diligence and making sure that their product, like the waters are ready for their product. And just all of the names that you've spoken about, it just tells you that we've moved again from what you talk about non-name brands to franchise and name brand product that's coming to Turks and Caicos, that show you that we are now in a position to be able to accommodate and be able to hold such brand names because it now works for the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I think a lot of that says much to what's happening in the Turks and Caicos and the strength of where the economy is and where the economy is headed. And, you know, I think this is a very important thing to know, because whatever happens out there in the world, in the U.S. and other places, sometimes we are maybe impacted by it in some like manner. But I think the economy and the Turks and Caicos is a unique destination, and and that it's been holding strong. And like you say, not just a boom, but over the past years, it has been maintaining its strength. I know, like I said, when I first started real estate, I think it's probably only in 2007 when they had the world recession, you could really see that, you know, like real estate values, you know, had reduced a bit. But if you really look at the numbers and the history of numbers, you can see that since then we haven't really had a decline in numbers. We continue even during COVID. It was still a strong time for the economy in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And when we thought that we would have had less sales, we actually had more sales, and not just more sales, but higher volume in terms of unit and sales numbers, sales volume, the unit, as well as sale price of properties. So all of this, I think, is a testament to how the economy is doing well in the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Well, it all starts with the Turks and Caicos Islands and the stewardship of how the Turks and Caicos Islands itself has grown within itself, and how we have acted and reacted to things like 2007 and to COVID, where we, you know, originally, you know, we really didn't have a massive impact. Yes, things slowed in 2007, but we are very unique in the way where it doesn't necessarily have a negative impact. Sometimes it actually has a positive impact. You know, COVID, people came down and they bought. Why did they buy? Because we are a very open environment. We are very low density. We are a safe haven. And that is a very important thing, not just for health, but for wealth. Being a tax neutral jurisdiction. Okay, we're a safe jurisdiction. We are experienced, especially with some of the volatility that's happening in the US, that people are, the high net worth individuals, they're turning to tangible assets. You know, they're removing some of their stock portfolios that are agony to watch. They're going up 10%, they're going down 15%.
Yes.
Where they're taking it out and they're putting it into intangible assets, and that is everything from obviously real estate to art to collectibles to cars. It's something they can enjoy.
Yes.
And B, Roosevelt said in the Great Depression that real estate is the cornerstone of wealth. It was the same then as it is today. That has not changed.
Yes.
So no matter what, with what we're doing right now, and we're beginning of Life Cycle Island. We've only just begun our journey. Yes, we have all of these new developments coming, and I don't want people to think that, oh my gosh,
Right.
Providenciales and the Turks and Caicos is so saturated. Far from it.
Yes.
We have a long way to go. Yes, we're starting to touch on some of the other islands, which is great. The Solterra, we've got the brand new airport on South Caicos. I know there's projects planned for Grand Turk and airports,
Right.
planned for North Caicos. This is great, but we are far from being over-densified. We have still got that. It's lifestyle first.
It's the lifestyle.
Lifestyle first.
Yes.
Okay. It all comes with that. And then there's other benefits, which are your investment benefits and your tax neutrality. Look, we're so convenient to get to.
Yes.
We don't have currency exchange issues. We use the US dollar. And we just fit, we check every
box.
every box, every box. And I tell pretty much every one of my customers, clients, friends, which is what they become, I've never sold any real estate in the Turks and Caicos. The island has already done it for me.
Yeah.
I'm simply here to guide you through the process.
The process. That's a good way of putting it,
Yeah.
but that's true.
It
Definitely
is true. Yeah, it is true. And economically for the Turks and Caicos, the trend that we're in, this is not a 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 year. This is decade plus.
Yes.
And that's Provo. And we are getting some of the biggest names in the hotel, resort, luxe brand industries here. And you said something very important, because I work very closely with the developers. They spend years doing their homework on where they put their brand, and they've done every bit of due diligence they need. They have a brand to protect, an investment to protect. You don't put $300, $400, $500 million in the ground without knowing
Right.
that this is going to provide something very special for your brand.
Yes.
And a good return.
And a good return.
So for the end user who's buying, they can be confident that work's already been done.
Yeah.
Because they would not be.
Yes. Just today, I was at an actual open house, and the developer was there, and he was talking about the actual product that we were at, but he was also talking about probably about 3 or 4 future developments that they already have in the pipeline. And again, that shows you that, like you said, they've already done the work. They already see the forecast. They already see the potential, the opportunities, the void in the market, and where they need to tap into. And it shows you that, again, they are still confident in this market in the Turks and Caicos Islands.
They're getting more confident. They're getting far more confident, and they're getting far more experienced. And I know there's things we'll be talking about later,
Right.
but that's, their confidence just, relates to the end user confidence.
Yes.
Because if they've done all of that due diligence and they've already, developed elsewhere, they've already developed in the Turks and Caicos, it makes that decision making very, very easy. Because
yeah.
no matter what portfolio you have and where you're from and how experienced you are, you come into the Turks and Caicos Islands, you're outside of your original sphere of comfort through investment.
Yes.
So what is it you look for fundamentally when you invest? It's one word, it's trust.
Yes.
Okay, so the trust is a very big part, and everything we just spoke about really instills that trust.
Definitely. I'm just glazing at my phone, and I noticed that we have 2 questions here we want to ask. Good evening. What are the type of buyers that are looking at these new developments, and is there still a market for short-term vacation rental properties?
I think there's more of a market for short-term vacation rental properties than ever before. Again, we're not just, lifestyle based, and the lifestyle here is second to none. There was without a shadow of a doubt. But going back to the instability of a lot of the markets or a lot of the places in wherever it may be in the globe, they are looking for a safe haven investment. Yes. And we're a very safe and secure destination for people to invest. We're very well structured with our investment, with our legal system and our structure of ownership, our guarantee by the British Crown of land ownership. So that gives people a lot of confidence, and they are wanting to withdraw out of the market, the stock market, whatever it may be, and put it into something that they can enjoy, and that will make money. But also on top of that, capital appreciation, which circles back around to that's we're beginning of life cycle island, and a lot of these developments that we're building, you're building in capital appreciation because there's stage payments as you go through. So the answer to that question, I think we're on the increase in people looking for income producing properties.
Yeah, I think we do have a lot of people with income producing, who want income producing properties, but you also, like we said before, the lifestyle is very important to a lot of people, and when they can combine both of that lifestyle and income, I think that is the formula for success. Right?
Absolutely.
That's it. They can use it as much as they want to, and now you're having a mixed variety of properties where one of the things is we have, I think, a product for everyone. So if you want that property where you want that homey feeling and you still want to have income coming in when you're not here, you have that opportunity. Or if you just want that real investment property where they're going to limit you to how much of a usage you have, that is also available. So I think we have a product that fits most needs and most buyers here in the Turks and Caicos Islands.
And I think another point to that, Bernica, is because we have now evolved so much into we had a lot of gaps in our market. We were predominantly either very big villas, very beautiful villas, or we were just condo resorts on Grace Bay Beach. But now what's happened is, because obviously we've reached a point where there's only so much can go on Grace Bay Beach, we're now, like you said this morning, you was on an open house, so was I. Absolutely great product, but that fits a whole new demographic.
Yes.
Okay, it's still income producing. It doesn't necessarily have to be on Grace Bay Beach. We're also now, we have these small luxury little villa enclaves that are coming in, and they are absolutely beautiful in great locations and just minutes from the beach. We're getting new developments now that are also residential and retail. We have Grace, residential and retail. We've got the Sephora, we've got the Village. So there's another category, but they're still all income producing properties, and capital appreciation on top of that, and lifestyle. I can't see we go wrong.
No, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah,
definitely. For persons who we're talking about all these new developments, and of course you have mentioned it before. I mean, since we've started talking about you don't just have like the condo style. You also have residential community villas. Basically, right now we have, like we said, a product for every buyer that is out there. What would you say to any potential buyer probably who is still uncertain about a lot of this pre-construction? Because we're moving quickly, trying to produce product because we do have a shortage of inventory, and that's why we're doing a lot more pre-construction, right? Pre-construction, new build. What would you say for those who are unsure about, tapping into pre-construction at this time? What will make them feel more secure about that investment?
You're thinking on a trust element?
On a trust element to make sure that this project is going to be completed. Yeah.
Well, we've obviously got a great legal system and contracts that allow for, certain remedies if things happen. But with the developers we have today, one of the things they need, we tapped on this already, with the Kempinskis of the world, with the St. Regises of the world, with the Laurens of this world. The Lauren has an amazing property in Bermuda that was one of the first new builds in 40 some odd years. And the Kempinskis around the world, and St. Regis is just, a massive organization. They've done the due diligence and the confidence. But you also, do the due diligence as a buyer as to, okay, who is the developer? And this is what we do as well as real estate brokerages. Before we represent any development, we do our research.
Yes.
We research the developer. The brand is the brand, okay, but there's also a developer component. So who is the developer? What have they done? What is their track record? Okay, and we dive deep into that. We do that on all of our projects. We go visit, like when we started up the Lauren, we went to visit their properties in Bermuda and Austin, and we came away with the feeling that, this is, somebody we really want to represent. So we do our due diligence, and with the Christies name and brand behind us, that's another level of confidence as well. We help share that, what we've done, the legwork that we've done, which we sometimes take several years to do, and working with the developer, and we're able to share that with them.
Yes. Well, I think that's a really good thing, talking about doing the legwork and also just investigating and knowing who these developers are. And the good thing about it is that you actually have this information that is available for anyone who's interested in purchasing, so that they can have it, and also they can do their further due diligence if necessary. And I think that also, I think most of the developers who are coming, like you said, they already have a proven track record, first of all. And they also understand how things work in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I also think because of the type of product, like we've again said, there are several different types, style product. For example, if you're going to go through the process of purchasing in a residential community, now they have this structure where, hey, you can buy the land and then enter into a construction agreement. I mean, all of these, I think, are ways to ensure you as a customer, hey, that this project isn't going to fail. Because if you are the one purchasing, then you are responsible for the payment. So it's up to you if this product is going to come to a completion, seeing that you have already, it's really, once you bought the land, you've saved based on the stamp duty, now you're going into the construction agreement. And there are things in the contract that if for any reason you're not able to, someone else may be able to take over that as well.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah. Now, our legal structure and our legal documents here, when it comes to pre-construction, they're very strong, and they do provide buyers, recourse if anything does happen. Now, look, things happen in the world that none of us can predict.
Right.
So there always has to be legal recourse. Nobody is going to just say, okay, here you go, and I've got no recourse whatsoever. So that's built in, and that has been that way for many years.
Right.
But again, we're now entering a new era of these high brand, high value, super luxe properties with track records in 40 different locations, or even more when you talk about a St. Regis. So that's the evolution from, you mentioned 2007. We've evolved a long way from there to a different kind of product, if you will, that has that track record, that has very, very experienced developers that will not fail, and that's a very different picture than yesteryear.
Yeah, and if you look around Turks and Caicos, you basically you could say, like, you can't name a failed product in Providenciales. No. Just to say. So it just shows you that it is a good track record, and whatever we're doing, it's working. And ensuring that the product is completed and people are getting the end result product that they actually trying to buy into.
And it was advertised, and I said this at the top of the show, that we are the most desirable location for developers to enter in the region. So a lot of their success is due to the Turks and Caicos itself.
Yes.
Okay, and the stability of the Turks and Caicos itself, and the good governance, and so on and so forth. So that's another confidence factor right there. And again, different times, different era, different generations almost. We're in a whole different generation from when that happened in 2007, 2008.
Yes.
And even then, we didn't have as much. I remember in the U.S. and other places it was catastrophic. Here, okay, we may have had one or two issues, but nothing like you saw around the rest of the world at all. And sometimes it has completely the reverse, such as now when you've got very fractious markets elsewhere in the world. They're saying, look, let's diversify our portfolio. We can gain income elsewhere, but we can enjoy it at the same time. People are getting very stressed in the rest of the world. Okay, so why not have an investment that me and my family can go, we can enjoy, we can create memories, but is also a really sound investment, a provable investment with a provable track record. Right. You just have to look at the Turks and Caicos. You have to look at our ROI for our condo developments that, they're all income producing properties and have been for decades.
Yes.
And the proof is right there. So that's what they're doing, elsewhere, they come here. So it doesn't, just because something negative elsewhere is happening,
that does
not mean it's the opposite. It pushes people to us, not away.
Not away. Yeah, I think so too. I think we've been doing well in the Turks and Caicos, and we will continue to do well.
Yeah.
Again, talking about some of these new developments, what do you think is really different in terms of the style of how a lot of these developments are being built? I know one thing which is so important now, a lot of people are more environmentally friendly, and we are seeing a lot of developments that is taking that into consideration and making sure that we have more environmentally impactful, even appliances, solar panels, a lot of things. What would you say are some additional things that have changed in how the product is being presented to our customers in terms of just everything?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, and I can go all the way back to the very first hotels where they were very basic. We didn't have paddleboard or pickleball back in those days, and obviously as things change and new hip happening things like paddleboard. I mean, it's one of the biggest sports, emerging sports in the US.
Yes.
And obviously it has to come here. People's taste changed, younger demographics. So we've gone from, and I remember every single different change of architecture, from the very eclectic Caribbean style, which I actually love, which were the first hotels we had here, and then we kind of grew into the more Bahamian Caribbean style, and then all of a sudden the amenities needed to be more, so the big pools, more swimming pools, tennis courts, and so on and so forth. And again, that's evolution, and that's also, the more popular we get, the higher net worth individuals we get that are expecting to have 5 pools and the tennis and the paddleball and the pickle, and they get it all. And at the Lauren, for example, you've got a full marina as well as a beach.
Right.
And yes, environmental as well. So we are going to more environmentally friendly, which is really important because we still have an unspoiled island for the most part, and we have to be good ambassadors of that and good stewards of that. So as much as we can, and I know a lot of these properties are not just doing solar, but everything they're trying to use from the straws and so on and so forth, biodegradable. So those factors are coming in, but also as we go through the decades, people's taste change.
Yeah.
You either like a Rembrandt or you like an Andy Warhol. So, you know, you get your modern, I remember the Palms and the Shore Club and the Oliver Marcel Barbadian style.
Yes.
You know, that romantic Caribbean style. Then we got very Balinesian for a while, you know, Amanyara and so on and so forth, and Parrot Key, and now we're getting into the modern contemporary. Well, why? Because we're getting a younger demographic, and we are getting more adventurous travelers, okay, where they want to get out, they want to go, and they're not just content with going onto the beach and sitting there all day and be done. No, they're out and about. We have excursions now that you never used to see, and people are exploring. And you've got more rental cars out there, and scooters and e-bikes and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's just a natural progression of, you know, through the years, through the evolution, and through the changing age demographics. It's fascinating to see. So we're getting more modern architecture, and that's a lot of the changes that I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. We have a lot of more modern architecture that is coming up, and we right now, even not just, and one of the things I've seen also, but like beachfront properties, like even the big condo resorts, right now we are, the way how they are being designed, most of these now, all of them have an ocean view or anything else, and they have more like an open concept because we have a lot more families who are coming here and staying for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And it's all about, like I said again, that lifestyle. Not so much that bedroom, but more so that lifestyle that they can find time with their family and friends. And I think we are actually doing a good job here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. We are creating memories. Yes, that's a good word. We are creating memories.
Yeah, we are creating, you know, we don't have export in the Turks and Caicos other than lifelong memories. You know, and that's worth more than anything. You know, you can't take anything else with you but those memories with your family and your children. And, you know, I remember my brothers, their children grew up here and playing on the beach, and, you know, those memories are just invaluable. Wouldn't trade them for all the tea in China. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a quality of life. They want to get out of the hustle and bustle, the strain, the stress, the drama of what's going on in some places in the world, and they come here and all of a sudden they can go, just for them. You know, there's an old saying, take the time and smell the roses. They can take the time just to stop and go, wow, this is really what life is like. And if you're from New York, in 3.5 hours, you can be knee deep in the snow in the morning with your coffee and your bagel. By afternoon, you're on Grace Bay Beach with a pina colada. Yes. You can't beat that.
You can't beat it.
You can't beat that. And creating those memories, because convenience is a huge thing as well.
Yes.
For us to have as many direct flights from as many hubs as we do out of North America is amazing.
Yes.
And to be that convenient where you have direct flights, and I get this all the time. I can't believe we have direct flights. I can just get on the plane and boom, all of a sudden I'm on Grace Bay Beach. That means a lot. You know, I tried to commute one Friday afternoon from New York to the Hamptons. It took me 5.5 hours. I could have been on Provo for 2 hours before I got to the Hamptons. So convenience is very important.
Convenience is very important. So tell me, what are some of the new developments? I know we've spoken about, briefly about them, that are currently going on in the Turks and Caicos, like the Lauren. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me what really attracts buyers to that product and a few other products that you are involved in and that you know about. Because we want to know what's happening. What are these products?
Well, there's a lot of products going on. So, and I do want to mention just one little thing is the other thing that has changed, and I want people to understand is this is just not, Billionaires Row.
Right.
We have properties that can fit a wide demographic of buyer.
Yes, we do.
We are not exclusatory when it comes to the ability for people to own a piece of paradise. it's very much within many people's budget. Obviously, we have, the very top of the scale, but we also have other kinds of properties that are very affordable that you can come down and as good at income producers as anything else. So that's just one very key thing because people might get the misconception that it's just for the ultra wealthy, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's very affordable for very many people.
And just to chime in there, that's also where, if you may not be able to find the exact product you're looking for in Providence, I think this is where there are up and coming islands like North Caicos and South Caicos and about where you can tap into probably and find that product that best match where your budget is at.
Absolutely. So, okay, so there's a couple of the resorts I'll go over with you. One of which is the Lauren at Turtle Cove. They obviously have their sister property, the Lauren at Pink Beach, which I visited. I visited two of their properties, and they have one in Austin, Texas as well. And for me, that's a very personal one because that's where the Third Turtle used to be. So there's a lot of history there, and I've got a lot of memories there. They are a fantastic team to work with, and they do an amazing job. I actually left both of their locations, both of their hotels, when I went out and did my little trip and my little reconnaissance mission. And I left there going, it's fantastic, but there was something about it. And it took me forever to figure out what it was. It was the input and the personal touch of the development team, of the hotelier team, that made all the difference. The details matter.
Yeah.
And they really got the details. So I really came away going, wow, I want to work with you, not the other way around.
Right.
And also being on that amazing piece of real estate, which is, again, where the Third Turtle is, down in Turtle Cove. Because that used to be the very hub of Provo.
Yes.
We never used to go to Grace Bay Beach. It was all right down there. And it's right on Babalua Beach. So it's got its own little cove right there. So instead of being on Grace Bay Beach, where we have quite a few developments, you've almost got a very secluded beach to access, but also, and I've said this so many times, why have one beach when you can have them all? So we've got this 5-star luxury marina going in. We'll have 33 slips that will take boats up to 60, 70, 80 feet. And they will be able to lease those as owners, or the excursions will come in and Lauren will have excursions to where they don't have to travel. It can come to their doorstep and they can go visit some of these amazing beaches. Half Moon Bay, you go to Pine Key, you go to North and Middle. It opens up the entire Turks and Caicos because every island has its own personality.
Right.
So it's wonderful for them to go visit it. They can have their own boat. It's beachfront and it's marina. And it's also low density because there's only 25 condos. There is only 25 people in this world that will own a Lauren in the Turks and Caicos. That's it. That's it. We've got 4 villas. We've sold 3 already. So it's very intimate. It's very low density. And knowing the developers and the owners and the emphasis on really, you go as a guest, you become a friend, you leave family. That is very much how they are. And that was that element that I left with going, what was it that I really loved about that? The details. I think that's very powerful, just knowing that you are in a low density area and being able to still be able to keep that, like you say, it's about the lifestyle, but not being amongst the crowd. And having a pot, it's almost like you have a piece of paradise for yourself. It's almost yours.
Just like you say, 28 owners, that's it. Because that's a question some people like to ask. Like, how many units are here, whatever. I mean, some people want to be in a smaller unit community with their amenities and everything else, but just so it feels more personal and
it is more personal, more intimate, more of what it used to be, but with a modern twist.
Yes.
Because we have all of the modern, it's going to be a contemporary looking building, but still with the flavors. The actual owner of the Lauren brand, he's an art collector and a wine collector, so he's he's very detail orientated, and that's reflected in his hotel collection. So he personally takes great interest, and that's really reflected through what he produces, what he creates, what he curates, and the team that he's built around him. So to have that low density and all the amenities,
Yes.
you know, you're going to have a fantastic restaurant, which they've already committed to calling the Third Turtle Restaurant in homage to the
That's
Third
cool.
Turtle that
Yeah.
used to be there, and I believe they saved some of the timbers and rock from the Third Turtle that they'll integrate into the
it.
restaurant. That's the kind of detail and passion that they have to still showcase the beauty of and honor what was there previously. So, you know, people are looking for a variety, like you say. Like some people want that low density feel, that more family, intimate feel,
Yes.
but with all of the services and luxury, etc. And then you have people that want a little bit more energy, excitement, or a different kind of
Yes.
energy and excitement. So then you get to a St. Regis, which is a bigger property, which is 12 stories, okay? But that has its own energy, and that is very appealing to some people. It's on a great location on Grace Bay Beach. It's very convenient. And again, this is a tried and tested developer in the Turks and Caicos Islands who's already developed before. He's doing it again. So the track record is there. I love the design that they're coming out with. But again, it is, and again, a full service. It's got 5 swimming pools. It is absolutely stunning. It's 12 stories. But it's going to have, I mean, literally, when you want something with all the bells and whistles, that will be the St. Regis, which is a fantastic property.
And one thing about that property, you can tell, like, thinking about people who may be skeptical about the project's its completion, other than he's already done this before. From the time they broke ground, the construction has been going on so smoothly and so quickly. It's like every time you pass that site, you can see that something is happening.
Yeah.
And they are looking as if they are moving on time, trying to be on schedule for the opening.
Oh, well, no, look, we all know who the developer is. He developed the Ritz. We went through COVID. We still finished on time, if not a little early. You know, I drive by the St. Regis on the way to work, and I go, they've thrown another floor on already. You know, there's another floor, but it's all controlled.
Yes.
There's no chaos. It's all
Right.
the site is perfectly tidy, but they're just very good at what they do. They know how to develop.
Yes.
And it's good. There is no doubt in my mind that it'll be finished on time. Just knowing the developer as I do, who's also developed elsewhere in the Caribbean. So he's got, you know, you said an important thing. It doesn't matter where you developed until you developed in the Turks and Caicos. You know, that's where your learning curve is.
Right.
So a lot of these developers have done that. So that's a vote of confidence right there. So very comfortable with that. But again, the St. Regis, as we call it, is a big box brand. It's very well known. And it absolutely, I mean, there's not one thing. I was actually on the website just the other day because I had a customer. And I just wanted to refresh myself on all the amenities and services. And I just kept reading and scrolling. I mean, you name it, 24-hour this and, you know, concierge that. It is, you know, a luxe property. And I actually love the architecture with the new curves that they have. Yeah, it's very, very, very attractive. Very attractive. So that will appeal to, again, you have to have variety.
Yes.
Have to have
Variety.
Because, like I say, you may love a Botticelli, or you may love a Rembrandt, or you may love an Andy Warhol, or this. Everybody has a different reality.
Yeah.
So we have to provide that variety. So then we go on to the Kempinski.
The Kempinski, yes.
And the Kempinski is steeped in history. You know, it's over 100 years old. It's one of Europe's most revered brands, okay, when it comes to the hospitality industry. And every one of the people I've spoken to, and we have had amazing success in sales since we started in a very short period of time.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask afterwards. How was the success? But that's good.
Extremely good.
Because it's no use building the product and not knowing that it's successful and people are wanting the product. Yeah.
Well, we worked with the developer for quite a while on the setup of the unit mix and what should be there. And I give a lot of credit to Walter, my partner, who really was the first one to kind of be introduced to the developer and the Kempinski. And Walter's a seasoned veteran when it comes to development. And they took what was said and looked at it and analyzed it, and we actually kind of restructured the unit spread. And when we released on our friends and family and the kind of quiet release, it was shocking as to how many people were. I've had 9 inquiries today.
That's awesome.
That's phenomenal. But people know, they literally say, my gosh, you have a Kempinski and it's in the Turks and Caicos. That is one heck of a combination. So yeah. That's a wonderful product to represent, and it's only 119 keys. Omnia there's 3 buildings: Omnia, Vincent, and more, and they're all at different levels. So they're not all at a certain height. The Omnia building is 7 stories, and then 5, and then 4. Omnia is, I believe, Latin for "Love Conquers All." So it's beautifully named, especially for our beautiful islands. But a lot of thought's been put into it, a lot of thought, and then rethought, over time. And again, I think that's a low density property. We've got 4 villas as well.
Okay.
So it's not massive. Incredible brand. They started off in the culinary world, the Kempinski, and moved into, over 100 years into the hotel industry. So they are very, very focused on their culinary expertise. So you can be rest assured that your experience at a Kempinski when it comes to culinary, which people really do love. People are foodies, they love to Instagram everything they eat. This is certainly the place. And
a lot of people do come to the Turks and Caicos because of its cuisine.
We are known for that. We have an ocean out there with fresh fish and conch and lobster and so on. And to do it right is an experience, is a memory, people come back for it. They come back for those culinary experiences. So again, with the Kempinski, it's a different flavor, it's a different personality, but it's again fitting a very specific demographic, which are all geared to looking at the Turks and Caicos Islands. And the popularity of the Turks and Caicos Islands is just increasing on its own merit.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it is beautiful, because it is easy and convenient to get to. And one of the things when it comes to evolution of design or building or what it is over the years, is because we're a newer island, everything we build with is all hurricane rated. So we are one of the safest places to be when it comes to any kind of storms that may potentially come by, because we have very, very strict building codes.
Yeah, a lot of people normally will ask, of course, because we're in the hurricane belt about that. But and I always say to most buyers, I said, even residents on islands, when hurricane is coming, some of us move into the hotels. So that's to show how, safe it is and how, like you say, the standard of code that we have to build up to. So we're catering for large tourists coming in. We're going to ensure that their safety is paramount.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing about infrastructure, and that's another point to talk, kind of look at is infrastructure. And over the years, I have seen it's always been the chicken or the egg. So, okay, we get X amount of new hotel rooms, and then we'll expand the airport. And we know that's coming up. We know we have an expansion, so we know, everything that feeds what is being developed. The infrastructure will also upgrade along with what we are doing with the developments, and it'll all be to specific codes, so it is safe, so it is easy, so it is very convenient.
I mean, and talking about all these new developments, what do you think, which unit type is most popular among buyers? Like the studio formats, the combined one-bedroom studio layout, what do you think is most popular?
That's really a difficult question to answer. You know, again, it depends. You know, we have everything from, you know, I find studios easy to sell, and then also $20 million villas. It's strange. So, you know, your studios, your one bedrooms, because you have a group of purchaser that comes down here, customer that comes down here, let's do an investment. Let's get a studio. Okay, so boom, that's easy.
Right.
Okay, and then you have the other side of the coin where, no, we want to spend more time. And that's why these developments now, for the most part, don't cap how long you can stay. Obviously, you've got to give them adequate notice, because one thing we all make sure of is they know what they're buying into.
Yeah.
You know, you are buying into a business. It's an income-producing property, so they obviously need to know what inventory they have. So at least give them advance notice. We're not saying you can't stay, you know, for 2 months or a month or whatever it may be. It's just let us know so they can skip. So I'm always very, very, very clear as to what they're buying into. So, you know, people are looking for the bigger units because they want that more family vacation. They can book ahead of time, and typically this is their second, maybe third vacation home. So they got other ones they can go to, and that would be the more legacy kind of purchase where I've got the family and I want to create the memories, etc. And then you've got the studios that are great investments, because we get a lot of, you know, because we're so close to the US, we get the US holidays, the President's Days, people pop down. But it's a balance.
It's a balance. I just want to pause for a moment just to remind everyone that I'm having a conversation with Robert Greenwood from Christies International Real Estate. If you have a question or comment, this is your opportunity to put it in the comment section, because we're getting ready to wrap up the show, but that's another opportunity if you have a question to do so. So I have a question for you. This is more like a pop question. I don't know if you know me, I'm going to be sure when I answer this question, and then afterwards I'm going to ask you, you know, for any comments or closing remarks based on what we haven't spoken about. But just talking about affordability, just thinking about affordability and all of these new developments that are coming on stream, even though we have lots of people who are buying them, like you said, second home, third home, we've dabbled with the fractional ownership and timeshare. Do you feel, I mean, how do you feel about that in the Turks and Caicos, and how, I mean, like your overall feeling about it and how it normally works? Because I find that even though it has worked, like in the Alexandra Resort has had some timeshare, most people actually want to just outright own their units.
That's the answer right there. There's the, you know, and we have it priced out to where, look, the way we can do it here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, you know, two couples can buy a unit in a partnership, so there's no need to have timeshare or we're not a fractional ownership timeshare market. We really aren't. We are a high net worth jurisdiction. Okay, so really that kind of demographic, I don't think works for us. There's no need for it, because we're doing, you know, we have plenty of buyers that are quite happy to purchase outright whole without the need to. I couldn't do fractional. I couldn't do selling 120 shares of something. No, no. And that's great. That was also great for another time as well, another era that we've evolved away from. So it really isn't necessary. It's not who we are. And you know, where that was very prevalent, other places in the world, it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, that it was very hard to trade on once you had purchased into it, and it was pressure tactics. That's not us.
Yeah.
We're laid back, we're very professional. But let me also say, and I travel the Caribbean every year, and I go to all the other, as many of the Christies brokers throughout the Caribbean, because when you think about it, we're 1 million square miles, 7,000 islands, and that's our neighborhood. For me to understand my street, which is Turks and Caicos, I've got to go visit other people in the neighborhood. So I go to the Bahamas and see my friend there, John Christie, or I go to see Zarek or in St. Bart's, or you know, I go to the Cayman or whatever it is. Let me tell you something, especially when you go to places like Cayman, we're very affordable. Very affordable.
Talking about, I wanted to say something about Cayman, but I just have to remember that I'm on live. But you know, beforehand, people always compare Turks and Caicos with Cayman, and they always talked about how Cayman. Some persons were like, "Is Turks and Caicos more expensive than Cayman or not?" But I find that a lot more people still know nothing bad about Cayman, but still prefer the Turks and Caicos Islands, and we are very much more affordable, like you've said.
Well, I love Cayman, I love the Bahamas, I love all the Caribbean islands I go to. They started 60 years ahead of us. So it's obvious that they are going to be, they've got all of the luxe brands. They've got all of the history where people have been going for generations and generations. So they're deserving of the higher prices because, you know, they're going where we want to go eventually, you know, or we will most likely go. So yeah, they deserve that position and they also achieve it. But they've also got the amazing infrastructure to back it up.
Right.
So they were far ahead of us in their evolutionary process. So yeah, absolutely. They're higher priced than
But I'll
us.
tell you one thing: Turks and Caicos definitely got over Cayman on beaches. I'm telling you. And not just a 7 Mile beach in Cayman, but no matter what area you turn in Turks and Caicos, you have a lovely beach. You don't just have one beach to choose from. You have so many different beach locations. And I think that's why our short-term market is so vibrant as well, because you can have a short-term rental not just on Grace Bay Beach, but in Turtle Tail, in Sapodilla Bay, and Long Bay, because we just have so many great beaches to choose from.
And we've not even begun yet. You start going to some of the other islands. We've not yet. And I still go to Mujin Harbour, Middle Caicos, and I've been going there for over 40 years. And I'll go stand there and still my jaw just drops. Because it is the most spectacular thing you have ever seen. I don't care what museum you might be in and what exquisite painting you may be looking at. There is nothing that beats the beauty of Mother Nature that we have. It is phenomenal. And that never gets old. I wake up every morning, go on my back porch, and I smile.
Yeah. You know, and just backpedaling, I mean, just because I had asked about the timeshare and timeshare properties, I've noticed that I've heard from a number of persons who even were thinking about timeshare originally when they were coming here. They realized that they don't just want to use it 1 or 2 weeks for the year, but they realized that they want to use it so much more that they realized that the timeshare didn't work for them.
Yeah.
Because instead of taking that and going to like another island or another country, they just wanted to keep coming back to Turks and Caicos. And so basically they were like, the timeshare doesn't work for us.
Yeah, once you've got the taste for it, once you've got bitten by Turks and Caicos,
that's it.
Yeah, you're done. We came here for 6 months in 1979, and
that was it.
That was it. And I've got no intention of going anywhere else. And that's what I get that time and time and time again. And you look at some of these hotels, and they know the staff off by heart. They're family.
Yes.
And I've seen it like places at the Royal West Indies. Sherman, who's fantastic, what a personality.
Yes.
He remembers.
Yes.
And he walks up and he welcomes them and he gives them a hug. And they just
love
that
it.
Means everything. But you can walk into a hotel somewhere that's very posh in a big city, and you could have been there 100 times, and you walk in and you don't get that same reaction. Yeah. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It's an energy that we offer.
Yeah, it's
that
family.
we provide. It's family. It's
It's family.
it's a rare commodity in this world these days, and we have an abundance of it, and we're gently sharing it with the world.
Well, again, I'm so grateful for you being on Let's Talk TCI Real Estate. Is there anything that we probably would have missed just talking about the new developments that are happening in the Turks and Caicos Islands that you feel like you want to share with our listening audience before we end the program?
There's one thing I want to share, and it's really to do with the big picture. None of these developments that we've spoken about tonight, none of the success that's been garnished, or the awards or the accolades, whatever have happened without the beauty of the Turks and Caicos and the people of the Turks and Caicos.
Yes.
That's where it all begins. That is the foundation. And it is that is the most important thing for any of us to remember, that none of this would exist without the beauty of the islands, the beauty of their people, and the welcoming nature of the Turks and Caicos, and that is who gets the credit.
I agree with you. I think that's a really good note to close on, and I just want to say also to real estate agents who are out there listening, just whenever you get into the field of real estate or while you are in it, you have to understand the island in which you live on, because like you've said, Robert, that's really who should get the credit, the beauty of the island. So you need to know the island, and of course remind others of what this island has to offer, because that's the selling point.
What we do is love and passion, and buyers will see that in us. So that's where it is.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much for those who are listening, for being a part of this podcast. It's always a pleasure to have you join us as we talk about real estate in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And definitely, if there is ever a topic that you would like to learn more about, always put it in the comment section, and I'll be sure to try to get another professional to come on and share their insights with you on that particular topic. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you. A pleasure to pick your brain and share in your knowledge, definitely.
Anytime.
Thank you. And until next time, I always stay safe and remain blessed. Have a very good evening.